we're going to move on to a special presentation tonight. We want to do a proclamation for former Councilman and President Pat Russo. I'm going to read that and present it to his family, and then we will have public comment. Whereas Pasquale Pat Bruno Russo was born and raised in Binghamton, a city he beloved and sought to improve, and whereas Pat was active in his community, coaching youth programs including baseball at Columbus Park and also St. Mary's CYO basketball, and whereas Pat was a loving husband, father, and grandfather to a family he took great pride in, and whereas Pat served on Binghamton City Council from 2004 through 2007 and served as president of City Council in 2007, and whereas as a city councilman, Pat served his community and his constituents well and always fought for the less fortunate. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the members of this Common Council of the City of Binghamton in the County of Broome of the State of New York, on behalf of all residents of the City of Binghamton, do hereby proclaim that this 21st day of September 2016 shall be in honor of former City Councilman and friend Patsy Russo. Pat, would you like to come up and... Okay, and now we'll move on to public comment.
Unusual being this side of the mic, but that's okay. I'll sign this sheet, I'll do that. John Cordisco, 3 Allen Street, Binghamton.
Speak up.
Where to begin?
Can you speak up just a little bit louder, John? I want to make sure everybody hears you.
Well, nobody's ever had a problem hearing me before, so I'll make sure. 2002, Pat and his wife came to my store having some problems in the neighborhood, and we talked for a while and all those talks that we had, it was the beginning of the fact that Patsy decided to run for City Council. And 2003, as you well know, Chris, you were in that election cycle as well. He won by a large amount, 65%, pretty high. And he was really happy. He was so proud of that. You know, he's an old school kid for the neighborhood, Pine Street, and he was really proud of that. And took it very seriously. And proceeded to probably be, not probably, but one of the best council members we've ever had here. Well, the thing with Patsy was, he cared about where he lived and grew up. And this isn't really a shot to anybody here, but unless you were born here and grew up here, it's hard for you to comprehend how we see things that we've been here our whole lives. We see things differently. And it's more from the heart than anything else. Patsy always did what he thought was right. But the weird part is everybody says, well, everybody does what they think is right. But very seldom are those people actually right. Patsy was both. He did what was right, and he was right both. That's very, very rare, especially in government. And the 4 years he was here, he was part of a group, one of the main players, so to speak, legislators, that made international news. Who on here can say that's ever going to happen? It was a big deal. They were protecting children, and I remember just exactly what happened. And we were so proud of the fact that he was part of that, a major part of it. When I see international news, I'm talking about England, Australia, Canada, across the U.S. How many council members here can say that? And then at the end, his last year, his 4th year, he was council president. And I thought he was a damn good president. He did very well, got along with everyone. We had our disagreements, but they were civil. And then we ran for re-election. Unfortunately, there's a sign that hangs in my store that says, well, I don't know if I should say it, but you're basically punished for doing the right thing. No good deed goes unpunished. And he was put out basically by a political agenda. It's very common here. And he was very sad about that, but he held his head up because he's an old school Italian from the neighborhood, you know, he's a tough guy. Tough guy. And he pushed through it, and he ran again, and same thing happened again, but he still held his head up high. He still gave a damn. And I'll tell you the truth, honestly, as you can see, I'm a little shaken by this. It's only been a week, so. He was also my friend, too. And the city's a lesser place without Patsy in it, and that's the truth. So I guess to try to get some meaning out of this, of his untimely death, is that we've all heard 1,000,000 times that life is short. Until it really hits home, knowing and understanding is a lot different than just hearing it. Once you comprehend that, and your time here on City Council is even shorter. Do not waste time serving the city, because the time will go by like that. I was here for 8 years and it seemed like a week. There's 1,000,000 things I wanted to do, but the one thing Patsy did, he did everything he wanted to do. He wanted to do more. I'm rambling a little bit usually. I'm a little more organized with my thoughts. What I will say, if you want to hold yourself to a standard as council members or any elected officials in this city or county, look to Pat Russo for guidance. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, John.
No. John Cordisco, Tony Massaro, right after each other. There's got to be shutters going on at City Hall, right? My name is Tony Massaro, Binghamton, New York. As council members, you come to this chamber with the hopes of doing the best that you can for the residents of the city of Binghamton. That drove Pat Russo. I've known Pat since high school. Chris Papistred as well. We were all there together in swim class.
Let's not talk about swimming.
I'm not going to go any further, Chris. But when you come to this hall, when you come to these chambers, you sit quietly before you start, and you will hear the echoes of former council members, years past. And if you listen very closely, the one thing that you will hear, the one voice you will hear above all else is Pat Russo. John touched upon it, and National Gang and Youth Violence expert Stephen Vorshak has a great saying, do right and right comes back to you. As council members, you should say that often, because Pat Russo did. Right didn't always come back to Pat, politically speaking. But that was because Pat always spoke on the edge. He never took for granted his position. He never just came to spend time and then leave. He lived in Binghamton. He was raised in Binghamton. He was Binghamton. You know, one of the great things that I can say about Pat Russo is that if everybody in the world at the end of their time, wrote down on a piece of paper the things that they were the proudest of. At the top of the list, what they had a friend like Pat Russo. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Good evening, Council President, Council members. My name is Deborah Hogan. I come this evening also as Coordinator of Neighbors Against Crime to pay tribute to one of our own in Center City. I got to know Mr. Russo as the heart and soul of Pine Street, of Center City, of the city of Binghamton. From what I gather, he grew up here, raised a family, came back to care for aged parents. I got to know him when he and his wife, and I believe his mom, came a few times to hear the various speakers that we had at our meetings. He also participated in our National Night Out celebrations at Columbus Park. As a council member and council president, he had many notable achievements, which his fellow council members enumerated here this evening. Probably one of his most recognizable endeavors was awareness for predators and pedophiles, and to protect the young people, not only of the Center City neighborhood that he so loved, but citywide, countywide. He also was part and parcel of bringing under the Weed and Seed Initiative, which was a Department of Justice program that we helped bring into the city, and he was very much in support of that. As a person who, when working in my yard, dressed in sweatpants, t-shirt, and flannel shirt, would be cruised by gentlemen looking for services, or people circling the block looking to buy product, he understood that we needed assistance, and he helped bring forth the anti-cruising law. So many trips around a block within a time period, you would be eligible to have a stop by the police department. He also was very proud of giving back to the community, and he appointed one of our neighbors, Mrs. Taylor, to the Community Development Advisory Commission. And he knew in that appointment that she would help safeguard those that were less fortunate, and to make sure the programs went to those in need, not only in Center City, North Side, but throughout the city. One of the things that I can relate to is him helping me with on city council was I had a dog issue. Gentleman who would walk the streets without a leash but was threatening. And I would call him, and he would come out to a second floor porch, because the gentleman was every night at 9 o'clock would walk down J, go to court, and then back to his home on Carroll. And he was able to help provide another eyewitness, because at that time the DCOs were not doing anything. And between Mr. Russo and Eric Denk, then city clerk, they brought resolution to this constituent. Also, at the end of his term, he presented our Neighborhood Watch with a certificate of appreciation, that he appreciated what we did to give back to the residents and community. He's also the only person that I know that helped create a political party called the Binghamtonians. I thought that was pretty special. His legacy is that family was first, but there was devotion to Center City, and always you could come back to Pine Street, which was his life. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
John Solak in Binghamton, New York. If there was anything that any one of us could do to take away some of the pain in the morning for your beloved father, grandfather, husband, we would do it. And we are very sorry, very sorry. Pat Russo was a classy gentleman, and he couldn't really be replaced. And that's the sad thing about his life goes on. There's a lot of people that can't be replaced.